So in today's episode, we are going to carry on working with our player. We need to try and fix the animations that when we die from the spider, we have a short delay, probably about a second or two, and then first of all, we play the death animation, have a second or two delay before we go and reset the player back to its starting point. So we'll try and fix that, and then depending on how long that takes, it shouldn't take too long because I've now figured out how to do it. It shouldn't take too long. So once we've done that, we should go and try and create a second coin prefab that we can use for when we try and destroy the crates that we will eventually put in our scene. So let's jump into it and start it straight away. So what we have to do is let's just recap to see what we did in yesterday's episode. So yesterday we started working on this reset function that when we go and eventually die from, in this case, it's our spider. So when we collide with our spider at least twice, because we have to reduce the health, you can see it goes and resets our position straight away. So because it's so fast, you can't really see the death animation. So we need to go and fix that. But then what I also noticed that when I was testing this earlier on, I added in a 3-second delay, which might have been a little bit too long. And while the player was still dead, you could actually still move up and down. So we need to go and fix that as well. So let's start this. Let's go to our code and see what's happening. So first of all, yesterday's episode, we were going to get rid of, where was it? So over here, we're no longer going to do it the way we've done it over here. We're going to get rid of all of this. Get rid of that, and then just because this is giving us problems, get rid of this. That's what's giving us the problems with our, I think it's here in our player class. So because we were using that player instance, we had to make this static. So let's go and get rid of all of this, and then we can get rid of this, and instead of all of this, we can just go and say animator dot set bool, and then we also don't need this parameter, so we can get rid of that. Same thing over here. This can just be replaced by transform, and then the same thing, we can go copy animator and just reset all of this. So that should be fine. Now, because we've done that, we need to go and change it over here. So we no longer have that player instance in this class. But because we are colliding with the player, we can just use the game object. Well, we can go and find the player script off of the game object that we're colliding with. So to do that, let's just go and say collision dot get component, and then this is going to be the player component. So we'll get that straight off of our collision, and then directly from that we can just call the die method, which is in our player class. So that should be fine. So hopefully that should solve all of our problems. Well, I've got to duplicate. Let's go and get rid of that because I don't think we're using that at the moment. So we'll save that. This one is also saved. Now let's go to the game and let's test it out. So I don't think it's still not going to work, but let's just make sure that we're still getting what we had before, because then it technically is working. So let's test it out. If we go to our spider, we probably should move our spider closer so we can still collide with it. And if we do it again, you can see that it's now working. Our player is dead, and then only after. Did we go and reset it? No, we didn't, because this is still set to true. So let's go and set that to false. And then that should be fine. So you can see that that is working. It's now working, but let's go and add in a delay. So now that we've got rid of the static problem, we can go and say, what we're going to do, we're going to set our animator is equal to true for the is dead. So it's going to play the death animation. Then after that, we need to pause the game. Well, not pause the game, but just pause or give it a little bit of a delay before we go and reset it. So we can go and say, let's say this. Let's create another method. And let's do this. Let's go and say start coroutine, and this is going to be reset player, like that. And then let's go and create that here. So this is going to be an IEnumerator. So IEnumerator is going to be reset game. like that. And then the only thing that we're going to do in here is we are going to return. Actually, I'm wrong. This is not the only thing we're going to do in here. We're going to say return. What is it called? Return yield return. That's what it is. Yield return new wait 4 seconds. And then all we have to do is specify how many seconds we want to wait. So let's go and wait 3 seconds to put that in here. So that's going to allow us to wait 3 seconds now. Did we not spell that right? Correct? Yeah, so we want it to be reset player. Okay, so we'll leave it like that. So, okay, so now that we've played the death animation, we now give ourselves a delay. Then we can go and reset the game and then change the position and then set it to be false. Now, I don't know if this is going to work if we leave this in here, so we might just have to cut it out and put it into here. But that should work. It should do the exact same thing. So let's test it out. Can we play it? Have we got any errors? No, we have nothing. That's a surprise. So let's test this out and see what we got. So we can still collect coins, which is good, because that shouldn't have broken anything. So we can collide with the spider, and no, there is no delay. Okay, so let's go and see what's happening here. So let's go and change this. Let's go and move this to over here. So just to make sure that we are getting this delay. So we'll save that, and then let's go back and test it like that, because that might make a difference. Let's test it out. Did we save it? Yes, we saved it. So hopefully this will work, because then we can go and watch our our death animation bar over here. So this one should go from there to there. Okay, so the animation is not playing, but you can see it with that delay. We do have that small delay, so we probably need to make that a little bit smaller because it's quite long. So let's change that to 2. Now our animation is not working, but we are getting reset, and the death animation it's kind of, well, our idle animation and our running animation are not allowed to run because I don't think they can run at the same time. Well, not that I don't think, I know that they can't run at the same time. So the reason why we can still move our player and not see any animation, so we just see like a static picture of our player, that's because we are still in the death animation. So if we collide with that, you can see that we are stuck in this dead animation, and now after the few seconds we go back to our idle animation, which is this one here, and then because our 3 seconds is over, or 2 seconds is over now, we can now start running again. So let's go and fix that. So when we go to our animation here, we should be able to change it a little bit. So from any state to go to our die animation, all we have to do is, I think we have to cancel the can transition to self. So if we save that, that should now allow us to play the death animation when we die. Let's test it out. So we should catch the spider eventually. There we go. So there's one. So now there's our death animation, but it's looping, which is not what we want. So let's go and change that. So on our die animation, just untick that loop time, and then that should solve all of our issues. So let's test it again. I'm gonna have to catch that spider again. Okay, that's one. Now you can see that our player is dead, and then when we reset it, it's now back to normal, and we can move once again. But we need to put some kind of check into the game, because like I'll show you here, when we are dead, so when we're dead, you can see we're dead, but we can still move our player, which is not what we want. So let's go and fix that. So in our player class here, I am going to go and say, actually, in our global class, do we have a Boolean? No, we don't. So let's just do it in our player class, because we only really need it in here. So let's go and say public Boolean is dead, and that's going to be equal to false. And then when we go and move our player, we can simply go and say if is dead, or if we can, I think that's all we have to do. If the player is not dead, then we can go and move. So that should fix all of our issues. Now, when we go and die, so when we're in here, we can go and say is dead is equal to true. So we'll set that to true so that that no longer allows us to move. And then when we are when we are back to normal, so once we've reset the position and we have set is dead boolean animator to false, we can also go and say is, if I can spell it correctly, is dead is going to be equal to false. Let's test that out. So hopefully I've got that the right way, and hopefully that works. It will be great if it worked the first time, but not many things do. So let's test it out and see. So we can go to our spider and catch it. Hopefully there it is. Okay, so that's fine. Now we can no longer move. You can see we've died, and now that we're back in our idle position, we should be able to move, which is perfect. That's working. Okay, that's another thing that we've ticked off. So now let's go. We've got a bit of time, so let's go into our. Let's try and make another prefab for our coin, for our coin, so that we can try and get our coin for our box to work. So I'm just going to duplicate it, and I'm going to change this one to coin crate. Not that really makes much sense, but the only thing that we're really going to do for this coin is change a few things in our rigid body. So we want to use gravity, so gravity will set that to 1. The collider, we don't want to be a trigger, so we go and untick that so that it can collide with the floor and actually fall on the floor. So let's test this out now. Yeah, let's test this out. So let's go to our game, well, our scene rather, back to our actual game scene. Now I think we have a crate which is over here. Let's go and set that to be active, and then hopefully, where's our script for our crate? I'm just going to change this just so that we can test this out. So in our crate, we want the strength to be strength. Let's just comment this out, and then let's just say a strength of 3. So let's test it out. So we should be able to hit that crate 3 times, which will allow us to break the crate, and then coins. The minimum one is okay, so we should get a minimum of 3 coins. So let's test this out. So we'll save that. That's saved. Everything is saved. Now let's go run it so that we can test it out. So we're gonna have to work our way to this crate and destroy it, which shouldn't be hard because it should be just here. Okay, so let's test this out. So where's our crate? Our crate is over here. It has a strength of 2, so we can hit it once more time and another time. Okay, so I don't know why it's doing that. Let's see, create coin, instantiate coin at transform.position. What happens if we change this to local position? Does that work? Let's try that and see if that works. Start it again, because we have this problem where the coins are being instantiated, but way more than what's needed is being instantiated. So our crate has a strength of 3. We can break it 1, 2, and then 3, and then we collect them, but we don't see them. That's a bit of an issue. And I'm not really sure why that's the case. So let's see in our update we have if the strength is equal to 0 and is not broken, print crate destroyed, break is broken is equal to true, and create coin burst. So get rid of that because I don't think we need that. Actually, we do need that. So let's see, start. Let's get rid of this because we don't really need that. We'll do it a different way. So do we use that anyway, player? No, we didn't. So we don't really need that anyway. So let's have a look. So when we start the game, we go and set the strength to equal to 0. If the crate strength is greater than 0, then the crate now becomes breakable, which is good. If it's not, then it's obviously not breakable. So every box or every time that crate in the scene with this one here should be breakable because we set it to 3. And then in our update method, if the strength is equal to 0, and you know what I'm thinking? I think we're gonna. I know why this is not working. It's just come to me. It's because it's in the update method. We need to change this. So in the crate, let's see. On our crate, it's got a collider and it is trigger. So let's bring this in here. So just say on trigger, enter 2D, and then here we can let's cut that all out. We can get rid of our update method because we don't need that. I don't think. We'll see later. We'll paste all of this in here. So let's add another check and say if the collision dot compare tag, and this is going to be global dot player tag. So if we collide with, if the collision is coming from the player, then we should be able to do whatever's in this if statement here. So let's see. Okay, now that we've figured out if the player is attacking it, we can go and say if the strength is equal to 0 and is not broken, then no, that's wrong. If the strength is equal to 0 and the player is not broken, okay, yeah, that's fine. Then that means the strength needs the crate needs to be broken. So we can go and say crate. We don't really need that, but we'll do that just in case for like testing purposes. Then we'll set the animation to set the trigger to break so that it plays the breaking animation, and then we can go and set it to be broken so that we can't break it again. And then after that, we need to spawn those coins. So I'm hoping that that's going to work, because if that does work, that fixes all of our issues. It kind of makes sense because in our update method, when our crate was when we broke it, when we had hit our crate 3 times, it was setting the strength to 0, and then that update method was running constantly because our strength was equal to 0. So hopefully this works. I don't know why I put it in the update method. So let's go and test it out. So our crate is over here. It's got a strength of 3. So let's test it out. 2, 1, and now it's not breaking. Okay. So let's see. Did that print out? No, it didn't. So let's see if let's do it again and see if we have an issue here. So on our player, let's make sure our player has our tag. Player has a player tag, that's correct. Our crate is somewhere in our scene. So a strength of 3. And then only if we attack it. Oh, okay, so I know why that's not working, but that's still not working over there. That's still not spawning our coins correctly. So this is not going to work because when we attack the crate, I believe that happens in the, where is it? Attack here, maybe? That happens over here. So I think this is why we did it in our update method. So that's not really going to work because there's no way for our what are we going to do? The player has to collide with the crate for it to register that it has a strength of 0. So this method here is not being called at all unless we move the player itself into the crate rather than just the attack radius. So where's our player? Our player is, there's our crate. Let's bring our player over here just so that we don't have to walk all that way. So if our player is over here and we attack it like that, it will attack it, and then the strength of the crate will go down to 0, but we won't register that the crate has been broken unless the player moves into it. So that's why we were doing it in the update method, because we need some kind of way to tell it that the crate is broken, or do we? We can do this a different way. So I'm thinking in our check here, if the tag is equal to a crate tag, we can go and say crate.strength. We can -1 from the strength, and then, or rather, we can go and do this. Let's test this out. So let's say, actually, we can do that. Yeah, let's do this. So let's get rid of this. Get rid of that, and then we can replace this with a function saying public void break crate. You can call it whatever you want. That should be fine, and then we can go and close that off, and then, oh, that's not going to work. Actually, it should be fine because we don't really need this check, because if we are calling this function, we are calling it from the player script, which means the player is the only one that's colliding with it. So we can leave that like that, hopefully. And then in here, we can go and say crate dot break crate. So let's check that out. So crate, so break the crate, and then once that's being called, it's going to say if strength is equal to 0 and the crate is not broken, then we can go destroy it and then burst the coins, and then it's going to -1 from the strength. So let's do this. Let's get rid of this, and we'll do this in this method here. So if the strength is equal to 0, let's just paste that there, and then let's test this out. So we don't need the crate. We can just go and say strength -, which means take 1 away from the current total of it. So strength -1, and then if the strength is equal to 0, go and break it, and then that should be fine. So I might put another check here and say if the strength is greater than 0, then we can go and say strength -, like that. Let's see if that works. Let's test it out. So that's all saved. Hopefully that will work. It's only one way to find out. So where's our crate? Crate's over here. So if we move into it, we can attack the crate. And then, okay, so we are now getting the correct amount of coins collected. Actually, let's test this out properly. So let's go and say coins, we'll comment this out and say spawn 3 coins, just so that we can test it and see. So when we break the crate, we should only get a total of 3 coins in our coin count here. Let's test it out. So let's break it again. Okay, so that's clearly not working. So we must be calling it more than once from somewhere. So that's a bit of an issue. So actually, hold on. This did not print. Actually, it did print. Create coins. Create coin burst. What are we going to do? Let's see. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to change this again and just say, where is this crate? Let's just go and spawn 1 coin, even though we can't see it. Let's test this out. So we should only get 1 coin. Let's test this out. So in our coin count at the top of the screen, we should get 1 coin, which we don't get any. Coin destroyed. Do we have a coin somewhere? Where is this coin? That's the coin that's been destroyed. Or instantiated. Okay, so it's got something to do with the positioning of it. So let's go back and put that to 3 and let's just see if they all get spawned in that location. Because that's quite odd. Okay, so we collected. Why do we collect them? There, what? So I'm going to delete this local position and just put position. And then let's give that another test. So it's definitely got something to do with the positioning of the coins, I guess. So we've broken it. We've collected 9 coins now. And we don't have any coins in our game because we've collected all of them. Okay, that's a bit weird and that's a bit strange. So at least we are kind of getting there. We're no longer picking up like 100 coins at once. So I'll go and figure that out, just like how I figured out the death animation part. So that's going to be it for today's episode. So if you made it this far, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel using this button here, and then maybe even watch yesterday's episode, which I think will be up here somewhere. But yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in tomorrow's episode where we try our best to get this game done. So enjoy your day and goodbye.